Hey Adam, how you doing?
Hey Joey, and welcome everyone to episode 5 of the Peplink podcast. This is a very, very special episode because it's not every time you get to welcome a new Peplink ambassador to the community. Um, it is you, Joey. But before we reveal exactly what your new name is, and joining the likes of Professor Pete, Captain Nick, Agent Adam, perhaps you'd like to tell us a little bit about where we got here and why you've been given a name.
I've been working with Peplink for close to 6 years now. Or I would say for Frontier, but working with the Peplink products. And I've been really enthusiastic all my life about space industry. I really like that, and I had a book that I know from when I was like 8 or 9 years old. I had a book about the space shuttle, which really got me into space and exploring and stuff like that. And I do like to travel. I do like that a lot. And space always, it's really nice. There's loads of technical things about it. There's loads of physics involved in that sort of thing. So I'm following SpaceX, Blue Origin, Stoke Space, all of those nice rocket companies. I follow them on the socials and try to watch as many videos about it. So I'm really, really into that. And I think that really brought together with Peplink as well to create unbreakable connectivity with now the likes of those Leo constellations, MEO, but also just the traditional VSAT. So I really, really am excited about this, and I really cannot wait to combine my passion for the space industry with Peplink as well. So that's really, really cool.
I mean, you and I almost started this podcast on the back of the conversations that we had about the space industry.
Yes.
Whenever there's a Starship launch, you can always find you and me on WhatsApp chatting to each other, commenting about every second as it goes, the disappointment, the happiness. We both like space, but I mean, you're on another level. I mean, you just have such a passion for space, which I suppose marries up quite well with Peplink because the evolution of connectivity now is going extraterrestrial. It's no longer limited to just being on the ground. We've got, as you said, Leo, MEO, and things like that. So it just makes sense to bring that expertise into the Peplink fold with a character that's surrounding space. With that, what is your character gonna be?
So astronaut was a little bit too long for that. So we just shortened it a bit. So it's gonna be Astro Joe. It sounds really nice and sounds surreal. It's unbelievable that I got a character with Peplink. It's crazy. It's cool, but yeah, I still need to get a bit used to it.
And I've heard that Peplink have already created a motion picture of your entry
Yes.
into this character, coming to
Yes.
a YouTube stream near you soon. Well, I, for one, look forward to what you're going to bring to Peplink, particularly in the satellite connectivity. And indeed, it's not just satellite, it's all sorts of things. But it's going to be really exciting to watch your journey and where it goes.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. Looking forward to it. Looking forward to also be more. We're talking to Professor P, Captain Nick, and of course you, Agent Adam. So yeah, really excited to join the club.
So, where do we start this week? Or where do we continue this week?
So we want to talk a bit about the Starlink. We would like to talk a bit about the options that it gives, the solutions, the case studies that you or I or anybody else has done that we're gonna highlight a little bit about like what Starlink did, what they're gonna do. So yeah, I've been researching a bit, so it's gonna be nice, and hopefully people can understand a bit more how it works and how they can work with Starlink and Peplink in together and see how that works. Yeah.
So, I suppose to start, it might be interesting to look at the evolution of Starlink, would it?
Yes. Yeah. So yeah, there are a few dishes already that have been released by Starlink, and they continue to developing. It's really nice to see that, and I think Peplink is also a company like that that keeps on developing new stuff and keeps on developing the products more and more and more. And so they started off with the Dishy. The Dishy was the first Starlink dish that they released. That was one in beta, which is a round dish that is pretty heavy for, if you compare it to the others. I have them laying around here, so I had a look. Then the next one was the one that where you can do roaming. So the Dishy was not able to do roaming yet when it was released. So you can travel around across different countries, different states, stuff like that. So the second one, where it was like, we call it the camping version, where you can put it on your RV. So that was version 2. You could put it on the RV, and it's also a rectangle shape. Do I say that correct? Yeah.
Rectangle.
Yeah.
Definitely not square.
It wasn't round anymore. So yeah, that changed then, and that's the first one that I really got my hands on in terms of testing things out and stuff like that. And that is really, really nice. And it's actually now on top of our building. It functions as our backup to our fixed line. So that's pretty nice. And then of course the flat high performance came out, which is even bigger and fits really good to those maritime applications. So that's really nice. And then of course the enterprise dish, or the V4 version, came out, which is a little bit smaller compared to the other ones, and it's really nice, really nice. Now of course with the Starlink Mini, it's even crazier.
Interesting. I'm sure we'll get loads of comments about the different versions of Starlink, because there's always arguments about what's called a V1, a V2, a V3, articulated, high performance, flat.
Yeah.
It goes on. There's a lot of dishes, and it's evolved, and it evolves very quickly. If we were here 5 years ago, I don't think any of those existed, did they?
No, not much.
So, Joey, that's obviously about the terminals that you have on the ground level. But all of this wouldn't work unless there was something flying around the Earth. And I know pretty well how geostationary works, whereabouts you'll get lots of terminals on little spot beams, and it's quite slow. There's high latency, but Starlink's got round that with LEO, and I think it's really interesting to look at that technology. Perhaps you can tell us a bit about the constellation and about how Starlink works, but don't make it too clever. Make it so I can understand too.
So yeah, I'm just gonna quickly grab my notes here because I wrote something down. So one of the questions that we get a lot is like, how many satellites are there? Well, as of 2025, like early January 2025, there are about like 6,912 Starlink satellites in orbit, in low Earth orbit. 6,000. That sounds, of course, like massive amounts of satellites, but they need to have that because they go around the Earth so fast that they need to have so many connections, or to serve those people around the world, because it's on a lower distance compared to geostationary, which is about 33,000 kilometers, something like that. This is about, the Starlinks are about like 600 kilometers above us. It's a massive constellation, and if you compare it
Well,
to the other,
you say it's a massive constellation, but in reality, if we looked at it compare it against cell towers, for example, and how many cell towers there must be around the world in order to get connectivity to those devices anywhere in the world. And they've got many, many tens of thousands of cell towers all over the world. So really, 7,000 Starlinks isn't an awful lot for what it's actually achieving. It's actually quite impressive.
yeah, yeah, especially if you look up. Of course, now I'm inside a building, but normally if you're on the ground staring up, there's nothing in between. And if you look at the cell towers, there's always, most of the times, always something in between, a building or a tree or anything. Yeah, it's so much more, and it's also because it's so high up still. Um, yeah, it is crazy how many people you can serve with one satellite. Even geostationary satellites are, of course, you can, to like half of the Earth, you can serve those people. But in general, those Starlinks can do a lot. And I think they have connected like 4 million devices now, something around that,
Crazy.
which is crazy. And there will be coming more, of course. They announced as well that the V3 versions of the satellites will be launched with the Starship as soon as it's able to lift stuff to orbit. And they will increase that throughput of the satellites or the constellation. Every launch, they will increase it by 60 terabits per second. So that's huge capacity that will be added with those V3. So they're lifting about like 50, 54 of those V3 versions. And compare that to what they can do now that is about like it's crazy. It's almost like doubling in size or in capacity every time they launch those ones. But for now, it's like the V2 Mini is like 700 kilograms a satellite, so it's still half a car in here in Europe in weight that they launched, and they launched like 20 or so on those Falcon 9s. But those V3s, they will weigh about 1900 kilograms, which is crazy. They launch a car and they launch 50 of those. It's unbelievable how big and how crazy that is, and that gives us internet all over the world, basically.
Well, it's not the first time that SpaceX have launched a car-sized object into space, is it? I mean, they have launched a car into space.
They did. I think the demo Falcon Heavy launch. I remember that they launched the Roadster on top of that. Yeah, crazy. But yeah, also the great thing last year about Starlink is that they are now enabling direct to cell. So they are becoming cell towers in space because you can call or text. I think now the beta is only texting and sometimes some calls. I can send you a text via space, which is crazy.
I was talking to somebody the other day that was taking a flight over from the UK, and they got their phone out on the plane, and it says, "Do you want to connect direct to cell?" And they were like, "What's this? This is
Yeah, that's
amazing!" And
cool.
it's a free trial at the moment while they're trialing it, and they were able to send messages and do things on the plane.
Yeah,
Crazy.
it's crazy. You're always connected. I think that in areas where there's not much cell reception because it's really expensive or it's almost undoable to set up a network or a cell tower there. I've been to Australia and I can tell you sometimes there is no cell reception, which is not great if you're missing a bus or anything. It's really, I wish there was cell service at that time. That's another story for another day. But yeah, it's crazy and it's needed. It's highly needed, and I think a lot of internet service providers are really happy with to partner up with Starlink because I see them pop up every day on those socials. It's crazy.
So let's bring it all back. Why is this important for Peplink? We are the Peplink podcast at the end of the day, so why
Yeah.
is Starlink important for Peplink?
So you can create a WAN option with a Starlink, but it's the Starlink is not the holy grail, and you have to be aware of that in many situations where you want to create that reliable connectivity or you want to increase that uploads. So you want to add your 5G connection, you want to add a Starlink, or to the Starlink you want to add a 5G connection. So or you want to add other WAN options. So this is where the Peplink can really do the magic is combining and filling in where a WAN connection is not good enough or doesn't really work all the time. You want to have a Peplink because then you can create that unbreakable connectivity.
I mean, you came along to one of my events, didn't you, last year?
Yes.
A secret location somewhere in Oxfordshire in the UK. And we had there numerous Starlinks. So this location, first of all, they were doing it in an old wind tunnel. So there was no connectivity inside the wind tunnel. But also the venue itself didn't really have any kind of connectivity, and it was the middle of nowhere. And we did try cellular and we did use some point-to-point connectivity, but we also had the ability to use Starlink as well. And we were able to position those all around, run cables back, plug it into our equipment, and it gave us enough capacity to run a full media event to launch this new car, as well as being able to live stream this to, I think it was 12 different channels that we live streamed this to. There's actually a case study on the Peplink website. I'm sure we'll put something in the comments about this, about what's it called? Peplink drives event connectivity from secret location. That's the name of the
Really, is
study.
that it?
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, but yeah, I can remember. It's just crazy. It was January or February last year.
It was
February.
cold, I remember. I think it was about this time last year. Probably, yeah, probably February it would have been.
Yeah, it was like 10th of February or something. Yeah, which is really nice, and maybe I can put some pictures up, maybe if it's allowed.
You're allowed. Yeah.
Yeah, about the Starlinks, no, just the Starlinks. Because do you remember how many there were? I cannot remember. It was loads.
We had, we would have had 12 Starlinks there, but they were in
Yeah,
different parts of the site. We didn't put them all in one place. They were dotted around various places for various reasons.
but they were also on top of the wind tunnel, right?
They were
Yeah,
on top of the wind
crazy.
tunnel in a car park by the esports. It's just an easy way of getting connectivity reliably and quickly to where we need it, and using the power of Peplink to make sure that connectivity was, as you say, unbreakable.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, no, that was a really nice case study. I remember when I got there, I was like amazed of how many how many Peplink stuff and how many Starlinks there were. Yeah, crazy.
Definitely worth checking out that case study. There's a really good network
Yeah,
diagram on there which shows everything that we did and how we did it. The network diagram there is something special.
yeah. So how many switches did you use? Because those were also dotted around, all those Peplink switches.
Yeah, because we were putting them into their core as well, because they had to get between different buildings. So we'd have had, from my memory, there would be probably 10 Peplink switches in total doing various things,
Yeah,
maybe more.
yeah, that was
But
really
we had the
nice.
APs there. We had Peplink APs. We had the Dome Pro Duo, which I think the Dome Pro Duo only just come out. It can't have been out for long.
Well, I think that might be one of the first case studies that I've seen for sure with the Term Pro Duo. Um, yeah, it must be around that time. Yeah,
And then we used SDX Pros for the actual routing side of it. Actual fact, we use SDX Pros and an EPX, but I don't think it shows that on the case study.
yeah, correct. Yeah, wow, that was cool. Yeah, it was a really nice case study.
Worth checking that one out. And of course, Joe, it's probably really important to talk about the partnership that Starlink and Peplink now have, which is,
Yeah, Starlink authorized technology provider.
and they've already done many things with Starlink, like using their API to access things directly on the Starlink dishes. I can never forget how excited I was when a little button turned up which allowed me to park a dish
Yeah,
straight from my router. There's nothing worse than getting the app out or doing it remotely and you can't log on to it, but just this little button, it parks it all. In fact, I'm sure I saw a demonstration done as well. You know, when we were in Tampa, in Orlando, no, in Tampa in Florida,
Tampa. Yeah,
and they were able to park all the dishes at exactly the same time. And there's nothing quite like seeing 10 Starlink dishes all parking at the same time.
yeah, crazy.
But now you get all sorts of feedback as well. You know when updates are going to happen. You know what the signal strength is. You can do quality reports. And all of this is built into the Peplink router over and above what would you get on the app and what any other vendor would be able to do.
Yeah, to be honest, I don't use that app anymore. I
The
just use
Starlink
In
app,
Control. Yeah, I use In Control.
everything you need is there.
Yeah, also some new stuff coming up as well. We have the Starlink Mini Max antenna, antenna Max. That
Tell
one.
me more about this, Joey.
Yes. So, yeah, Peplink is designing a. Of course, we have the normal antenna Max, right? Where you can put a BL1 Pro 5G, for example. You can put that in. Peplink is now designing a antenna that can house a Starlink Mini and a BL1 Pro 5G or BL1 Mini or anything else you can put in the antenna Max. So that's really nice, and I spoke to one of the Peplink engineers the other day, and it was really really nice to see the first 3D drawing of it, and
Mm.
yeah, that was really really nice. I'm really looking forward to testing out, and I had a Starlink Mini with me to showcase and to see the difference between the dishy antenna, which is really large, and the Starlink Mini antenna. And but Peplink needed it for testing and fitting the Starlink antenna Max. So it's now over in Lithuania with the Peplink team to fit it in the first prototype. So that's really cool.
So this is going to be a Mini and a BR1 inside a waterproof enclosure with
Yeah.
everything you need, including an antenna as well for the BR1. So you get the best possible strength from the cell as well. And presumably, it all comes out on one cable that we can send PoE out on or something. So all we do is you put the little box where we need it. Everything's in there, cable up there, full solution.
Yeah. Yeah. That is supposed to do. Um, I think they've already done some testing with it, and now they're fitting, see how it looks, and yeah, that's really nice, and I think that is really coming down to the authorized technology provider partnership between Starlink and Peplink. That's just amazing. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it.
And this isn't the only Starlink product that we know is in development. We know that there are others.
Yes,
I've heard of a very nice switch that is in development at the moment as well.
yes, that is indeed the case. That you can power four of those high performance flat panels. Four. Adam, do you know how much they consume on power, right? You can
I
just
do.
put that in and power a flat high performance four times. I know that you've been working or you've been testing out the Starlink Mini on four of those PoE outports on the HD4 MBX, right?
I have.
And can you imagine doing that for four flat high performance?
Do you know, I did actually. I decided I wanted to try and power off an MBX, one of the minis. And I don't know if you can see this little cable thing here.
Yeah,
These are just normal inject. Use these for cameras, whereabouts you put the PoE in here. It comes out here as kind of 12 volts. That's what these little bits are here. And then I combine all those together to get enough ampage to run a mini. It took 4 ports though off an MBX to do it, but it did work. No practical reason for doing it at all, Joey, but it did work.
well, if no any outlets are available, you have to do something.
It's something fun. But I think that switch is going to be interesting, and it's not just Starlinks you can power from there as well. I know that they're designing it to have the new PoE out on there, so we can actually finally take full advantage of the 2.5 gig ports on the access points. And I hear there might be another little special kind of PoE coming out on it yet that I know we can't speak about yet.
Now, yeah, something that I don't know if it's in-house development or at least something that is not yet available on the market. So yeah, they're really pushing the limits there, and I think that's one of the things. And I know that we talked about it on our tech day as well. Then Peplink wanted to know any names, so I don't know if that is already solved, the name, but if you have any suggestions, I think Andy came up with the Space Switch. So if you have anything better than that, let us know in the comments.
Well, doesn't it? I suppose it has to be the Astro switch, doesn't it?
Yes. So yeah, that's gonna be interesting.
Astro Joe's Astro switch.
Maybe I'll put that one forward. So Adam, next on the list, the Peplink news. What have you got for us this week, this month?
There's no news. Nothing's happened at all in the pet
Oh
blink. For the first month ever, nothing has happened.
no, it's everybody's still recovering from the New Year's. Yeah.
Aren't they just? Let's talk about the new switches.
Yes.
I know there's been a lot of interest about the new cloud switches, and I'm saying cloud switches here because they are cloud switches. They're launched now. You can get hold of them. That's certainly right. I think there's been a little bit of excitement in the community about the fact they're now in use and you can use them. And I know you and I have been watching the forum posts very, very closely on this one. about what they can and can't do and what their abilities are. And I think mostly they've been received quite well, but there's perhaps a few questions or a few features that we can perhaps talk about here now, just to make sure the community understands what these are and what the future of the Peplink switch is.
Yeah, well, it's going to be interesting because Peplink really had a difficult decision to make. It's like either we have to wait another like months, maybe half a year, to release a Switch that had every functionality that it had at first, but now they released a Switch that is manageable via in control and only via in control, which is then like the middle ground of like no switches or something. So yeah, I think it's really interesting in seeing and reading also about the new enterprise switches. That's yeah, how they thought of that, and it's good to know finally how they thought of it.
Well, I think it's worth pointing out with Peplink, they are very good at getting products out quickly. And I know I was playing there and saying it's just a cloud switch. It is actually not just a cloud switch. That is just feature number one on day one, is that we can manage it on in control. And that's good. That most people use in control. I use in control. I think it's one of the best things out there for managing it. There will be support in the future with the user interface and other things. I see they've taken customer feedback, and this is another thing about Peplink. They like to hear from the community. They like to hear what you have to say, and they can respond to it. And already they've brought out another way of managing those enterprise switches using the router device itself, a bit like access point management, but we can now do switch management offline without in control using a router.
Yeah, so normally you have the AP controller, and now you have the switch controller, which is amazing. I really like that solution. I think that also shows how flexible Peplink can be. Is all right. The community needs to have that flexibility between locally managed, cloud managed. But now they just add like a switch controller, or at least they're gonna add that, and they of course need some resources and time put in there to make this happen. But they will make it happen, and that is really cool.
I think another thing to point out as well, on the back of this, they've also said that anybody that gets the switches now are going to get a perpetual license to use it on in control forever. So if you want to always be able to use those switches within control, then now is the time to buy those switches, because there's no guarantee that you'll have perpetual licensing for in control after you get direct management or a web interface directly onto the switch.
Yeah, for those switches SKU that start with PLS. So the old switches start with PSW, the product code, and these start with PLS. So all of those PLS switches get a lifetime free in control management. Of course, have to say it's subject to change in the future, but that's how Keith from
That's
Peplink.
how it is. Perhaps we can put
Yeah,
those products in the notes below as well in the comments,
yeah,
just so we know which ones those relate to. Talking about feedback from the community, should we talk about the antenna maxes?
yeah. That's
Because this has really been brought out of feedback from the community as well, and about having something that you can put your Peplink devices straight into and have an antenna to get the benefit that you'd get from the domes,
yeah, yeah.
shortening that antenna cable length. So Antenna Max, have they released the first one now? They have released the first one now. There's another one pending, which is going to let us use the BR2 inside. Is that right?
Yes, there will be a Antenna Max Pro, which is based off the 82G antenna, the Mobility 82G. So the first Antenna Max is based on the Mobility 40G, and the second one will be the Antenna Max Pro based on the 82G antenna. So it's going to have 8 cellular elements to basically handle a BR2 Pro 5G. And also two Wi-Fi elements for Wi-Fi, Wi-Fi RAN, yeah, and GPS.
Sounds brilliant. Any more Peplink news?
Well, I've got something in the mail today that was just delivered before recording this episode, which
The
is
mail. Was this email or was this Oh, wow. What's this, Joey?
Physical. Well, this is one of the samples for, you can see there's a Peplink logo on there.
Mm-hmm.
This is the PoE splitter. The PoE splitter that will be available in a few months, I think, from the time of this recording.
And is this for the Antenna Max, or can this be used for other things as well?
This is for powering a BL1 Pro 5G. This is the BL1 Pro 5G, so I can just connect this to the Molex connector. And I've tested this already out. Like, this can power then from the switch. You can power a BL1 Pro 5G, which is really nice. It doesn't have PoE in like the BR2 has, so this is really nice, and this really allows you to utilize PoE for the BL1 Pro 5G in the Antenna Max. So that's cool. I like it, and I really have to thank Gideus for this.
So the install scenario there would be you've got your Antenna Max with a BR1 on top of your building, vehicle, something like that. And now we've just got to take one cable from there, which is going to deliver the PoE up to the device, but could also do the network traffic from that BR1 as well. Makes it simple and easy to install.
Yeah, clean, simple. Yeah, really nice. No hassle with cables.
When's that available?
I think it's gonna be March, April. I don't know. I don't know yet the delivery schedules and stuff like that. But I just
It's
got
coming
my hands on this.
very soon.
They will be coming. All right,
Okay.
that's it for the Peplink news. Shall we start with the Adam joke?
Should we continue with the Adam joke?
Yes, let's get into it.
Okay, so this isn't a Peplink joke. This is a special joke for you, Joey. Okay?
Okay.
Especially for you. How does Astro Joey organize a party?
Is this a party on Earth or a party in space?
A party.
I don't know.
He plan it. He planet, as in planet. He plan.
Yeah.
You know, planet as in a planet and plant.
Oh my god. That's so bad. Okay. Crazy. Okay. All right. I'm not even gonna rate that.
For you, Joey, that was a special joke. That's Astro Joey's joke.
Planet. Yeah.
Okay. I'll work on the next one.
Oh my god. Yeah. Okay. Adam, what kind of features do we have this time for our topic feature times?
Features. I think one of the new features I've seen recently in Control is being able to do organization-wide settings and not just group-wide settings. Things like the Wi-Fi SSID. I think that's the only thing you can really do at the moment is the Wi-Fi side. And being able to set something globally across your whole organization rather than doing it at group level. It might just be a default Wi-Fi network you always want to be available across your whole organization. Much easier than having to repeat it every time you go into a group.
Yeah. Also, firmware policies are also pushed via the organization.
Yes, that's always been there, though.
Yeah, that's true.
Certainly, but it's still a very good feature, being able to push it organization-wide. I worry sometimes about doing it organization-wide on the firmwares because you can impact everything, but it's very easy to tell your device not to follow the organization and only to follow the group. It's about setting that up correctly. Yeah, I mean, you could create a lovely hidden SSID, couldn't you, across all of your customers that only you knew, and every time you went there, you could use it and hack into their network. I'm not saying do that, but it's just one thing you could use for it.
So many uses for it.
I'm Agent Adam. You know, that's the kind of thing. I mean, do you know, one time I had remote access randomly to somebody's Peplink device, and I was able to set up this SSID to be broadcast out on their device. And I chose police surveillance van. But this particular company wasn't actually based in the UK, so it wouldn't really have made a lot of sense to them seeing something that said police surveillance van in the Netherlands. What would police surveillance van be in the Netherlands, Joey? You speak Dutch better than me.
Um, yeah, I think you got that one wrong. I think that was roughly translated, but yeah, yeah, it was fun. It was fun. Some people just instantly had like, "What is going on?" But no, it was just Agent Adam who was snooping around.
I heard that one of your top tech support engineers then started looking out the window to see where this van was.
Yeah, that's correct. Not gonna name any names, but that was indeed correct.
Yeah, special shout out to the Frontier tech support team. You're great. You rock.
They are aware of things around them. That's for sure.
So coming back to group settings that you can do, I was reading on the forum the other day, and there's one that was published a few days ago from a Peplink Platinum reseller asking if it's possible to add some more things onto there for organization wide, specifically the networks. Because quite often the networks you want to have exactly the same, like the VLANs will probably be common across a whole organization. It was really nice to see that within a few days, we've got the Peplink team coming back saying, yeah, do you know what? This is already on the roadmap. This is planned. This is coming in the next release. Really useful using those feature requests on the forum.
Definitely. And if you want to have something featured in there as well, send us a link or put it down in the comments below. We're happy to highlight that and maybe get something going on that as well. Really great. Well, do you have any tips or tricks, Adam, that you figured out over the Christmas holiday period before we wrap this up?
Well, so this really, this one caught me by surprise the other day. And I'm not the only person it caught by surprise because I know that both you and I have come up with this exact same feature and trick. And on In Control now, when you hover next to the SSID, it presents the QR code that you can use to connect to the Wi-Fi, or you can download that QR code as well. I think this is a really nice, simple feature because I don't know about you, I sometimes get frustrated trying to type in passwords now, especially as passwords are becoming more and more secure. We've only just changed our password at the office from password 123. Having a QR code now to scan, it's just not only is it a bit of fun, it just works. It's secure. It's nice.
Yeah, it is. It is, and it's just another handy feature that is in control. It's I've been testing around for some customers to test out some captive portals, for example. You always have to re-log in, put the password in again. I can just scan that QR code with my phone and test the changes I made to the captive portal directly. It's I needed that a year ago. It's crazy. Yeah, that's a really nice feature. Really hats off to the Peplink team, to the In Control team. Yeah, that's a really nice feature.
There's another feature that was on In Control that I've not really played around with yet, but I bet you've played around with it. And this is about adding Starlink events now to the WAN quality reports.
Yeah, you can now add those stalling events like too much obstruction or an outage or yeah, all of those things are a reboot or anything. So it's really nice. And you can really see what's happening. It's almost now the same as you can do with cellular. You track anything that's going on with the cellular module and those rank quality reporting part. Now you can do that also with Starlink, which is really nice. And that's actually one of my feature requests that I put on the forum post. If you have any ideas about In Control, how we can add Starlink stuff into In Control, that was one of my features. So yeah, that's really cool.
I suppose this brings back home again how much more information you can get about Starlink from In Control when you compare it to the Starlink app, because the Starlink app will give you real-time stuff of what's going on, and the Peplink's now giving us historical information about the quality of the connection over a period of time, which
Yes,
allows us to help with troubleshooting or improving things or just proving how really, really good it is.
yes, yes. How reliable we can make it. So that's really cool.
Well, I look forward to the next episode, which we'll be
Yep.
recording very, very soon. We're trying to plan
Yes.
now that episodes are going to be released on the last Thursday of the month, and we're going to try and record it well before then with all the latest information. But I'm happy to say goodbye now. Look forward to seeing you all next time. I'll let you wrap up, Joey.
Yes. All right. Thank you everybody for listening for watching. I hope you had as much fun as we do. You've learned as we do, and I think if you want to be on the show as well, let us know. If you have any questions, comments, or you think you can do this better, Joey, Adam, then let us know down in the comments. Love to hear your your feature requests, stuff like that. So with that, thanks for watching. See you later.